show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September 9th, 2021. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And midweek, hump day, so to speak, Matt, with the Canes getting ready for Saturday's game against Appalachian State, a night game inside Hard Rock Stadium. And you could just see the team building excitement to turn the page from the Alabama game. It's time to stop talking about Alabama. No more questions about Bama. Player access is now shut off for the week. And the kids can really, focus right in on Appalachian State. And coming off the way things went in the Alabama game, I think you would agree it's important that they put a complete and good showing forth on Saturday in the home opener.
Yeah, and I expect they will. If they don't, I don't even want to think about what our message boards are going to look like. I think they should win by 2+ touchdowns. I really do. I'd be disappointed if there's anything less. They out-talent App State at every position. They're faster than App State across the board. There's just no reason if they play, a decent game, they won't really, crush App State. And, you have to remember the bar was set, pretty high by Alabama in game 1. So Miami knows what that looks like. They'll be a lot happier when they see the App State level of play, I think.
Well, I guess the betting lines hovered around a touchdown for this game. And we'll have our You Bet CaneSport show today with Lee Sterling. And we talked to Lee a little bit about exactly why the betting line is what it is and get his perspective on that. I thought that was an interesting little subplot to the game. You get to these pay games early in the season, you're expecting the Hurricanes to be comfortable favorites in these games. And I don't know that the line's going to be significantly different for the Michigan State game next week either. So, these are atypical early season out of conference games. I like the scheduling. I think it's good to get some tests before you go into conference play. And these will be more even tests than the Alabama game turned out to be. It was, unfortunately, that was more like getting your butt kicked. And it obviously was very disturbing, the talent disparity between the two teams. But that won't be the case at Hard Rock Stadium this Saturday or next Saturday when Michigan State comes in. And these will be more even keel games. And hopefully the Hurricanes can, kind of work their way into the season now, get their act together, play solid football, come out aggressive and seize the moment. Don't let these teams stay in the game, and just set the tempo for the rest of the season. And, we'll see how that goes. All right. Other stuff on the website today. We've got this week's edition of the Tyreek Stevenson blog, one of our new features this year on CaneSport.com. And we're really, couldn't be enjoying our time with Tyreek and, partnering with him on this NIL deal more than what we are. Great young man, has become very mature over the last few years. And this is a big home opener for him because it's the first time since high school that his whole family at one time is going to be in the stands. And his mom missed the Alabama game. She had to work, but she told him for these home games, she's going to be the first one in the stadium, Matt. So, big week this week for Tyreek and really the whole Canes defense.
Yeah, Tyreek's, you got to root for a kid like that. Everyone should read that blog. He's very straightforward in what he says and means what he says. And, of course, he's going to love having his family there. And I think, Miami's, the players and coaches are really looking forward to being at the stadium with fans. It's been a while. And, it's going to be really interesting to see the whole atmosphere there on Saturday.
Right. And for those of you that missed last night's Lamar Thomas show, we've got that obviously available video demand on the website this morning, and you can enjoy that as well. Spoke to Manny Diaz yesterday, and always interesting to talk to the head coach. And, Manny's trying, I guess, to focus on goals for the season, have everybody, whether it be players, fans, his coaching staff, move past the Alabama game and look ahead. And he feels like there's a lot of goals ahead for this team. Obviously, they want to win the Coastal Division. Obviously, they want to get a shot at likely Clemson in Charlotte at the end of the year. So as the head coach setting the tone for the whole organization, Manny is trying to shift the focus away from the negative of opening week and into the future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, you have to sell your players that their mindset has to be, we still have everything in front of us. We can win the Coastal. We could play, for the ACC championship, and who knows after that? Teams have lost their first game and come back and won every game and been in the playoffs. So, there's no reason he shouldn't give up. But notwithstanding, the team just looked totally non-competitive on Saturday. You just don't know week to week. College football's, it's a weird game. Maybe it'll just start clicking. From Miami, they really don't play anybody that I think is very good the rest of the year. I thought North Carolina was going to be really good, and obviously they had a lot of problems their first game and lost. And you look at the rest of the schedule, there's just nobody even close to Alabama's level. I mean, not even on the same page as Alabama. Miami might be the best team out of the rest of the schedule that they play. It's very possible.
All right. Also have a story that I found really interesting on Keyshawn Smith. And Keyshawn's a kid that from the minute he arrived on campus, we saw had potential. I mean, if you talk to his coaches out in San Diego, they tell you that there's no reason this kid shouldn't be a college superstar. And it was a real coup when Steve Field was able to go out there and steal him at the last minute. He was supposed to go to Washington State. Mike Leach left to go to Mississippi State, and Steve Field got in there and talked him into coming to Miami, really sight unseen. So that was a great recruiting win at the end for the Canes because this kid's got a lot of ability. But he wasn't showing it last year, Matt. And we didn't really understand why because, people don't always talk when there's negatives involved and stuff. Now that he's playing, it's coming out a little bit. Keyshawn talks to us about how he wasn't in the playbook the way he should have been a year ago, that he didn't know what he was supposed to do the way he needed to get on the field and give the coaches confidence to put him out there. He talks about just his attitude towards taking coaching wasn't good enough last year. And it's kind of baffling to me to hear some of that stuff, but I give him a lot of credit for being honest about it. And it's very clear. You saw the play he made over the middle in the Alabama game where he caught that ball in traffic. It's really clear that this is a kid that's turning the corner and is now starting to do the right things and showing what he's capable of.
And how nice would it have been to have him in the playbook last year, or at least having some plays that he knew what to do. When you saw the struggles of D. Wiggins and Mark Pope, right? I mean, it was all basically Mike Harley, Brevin Jordan last year. So it would have been nice. I mean, imagine with a really good third option on that offense, what the offense could have done last year, even on top of what it already did. He looked really good. It was a disappointing day overall for the receivers. I mean, 2 plays at 20+ yards is not great. But I think he'll be really, really good down the road. I really like what he brings to the table, speed wise, good rangy kid. I mean, great hands. I mean, you saw he's tough. There's really nothing I think that is going to hold him back once he, like you said, knows the playbook inside and out.
Yeah, sky's the limit. If he keeps working hard and keeps taking the input he gets from the coaches and building on it, this is a kid that should make a lot of noise before this year is over and before his Hurricane career is over as well. All right, a couple other stories. We got a story with Corey Couch discussing how he feels like the defensive backs need to communicate a little bit better. Way too many busts up there in Atlanta this past weekend. You saw those Alabama receivers running loose in the Miami secondary. We don't have to tell you, obviously that can't happen as the season goes forward. So Corey talks a little bit about the communication and how they're trying to improve that as they get ready for Appalachian State. And then we have a story on defensive back target, Damon Fagan from American Heritage. And this is a kid that's a key recruit in the next recruiting cycle. And like the other kids we spoke to after the Alabama game that were there, like Fagan was there, what they saw was a little concerning. And it wasn't just losing the game. I mean, in a sense, these kids were kind of like the fan base. It was the style points. It was the way they lost. It was the fact that they weren't competitive. And now they got some rebuilding to do with these recruits. And I know some people are saying, damn it, we shouldn't have played Alabama. We had nothing to gain in that game. Why are we playing Alabama? Look, you can't shy away from competition. You can't take the attitude that we're supposed to be blowing smoke up kids' butts that are recruits and making them feel like the program's at a place where it isn't and things like that. You got to take on the challenge. You got to play the tough teams. You got to be good enough to compete with them. And if you're not, shame on you. If you're at Miami and you have the talent base that this program has available to it year after year after year. And that's the cold hard truth. And, it sounds harsh in tough times like this where you lose a game. But Matt, like Miami football should play the best teams. It should not shy away from the top games, and it should challenge itself to be good enough.
Yeah, you have to play the Alabamas. I mean, you have to, but you have to play a little better. I mean, at least look like you really are being aggressive and wanted, and that sort of thing. It just didn't show, and it really hurts in recruiting. I mean, recruiting is going to be the key moving forward, but you can't just beat average and bad teams every year and get great recruits. The recruits want to see you on the national stage playing these games.
Yes.
And the biggest problem right now for Miami isn't just they lost the game and looked bad doing it. It's the aftermath of that, because it's just so easy now for other coaches from other schools out of state to come into Miami and say to kids, hey, look at these, all these social media messages or whatever. It's just a mess. People calling for Manny Diaz's head and people saying that, the coaches are no good. Like it's not necessarily true, but other coaches, when 5, 6 other coaches from other schools are talking to a kid who was thinking about going to Miami from down here, and they're all telling the same thing, like, are you sure your coach will be there? Because look at what these fans are saying, and da-da-da-da. Like, that does nobody any favors, down here. And that's why you have to be competitive in these games to avoid this crazy noise that you get on the message boards and on Twitter and on social media all over the place. That's as big a detriment, if not more, than just losing a game like this and a kid watching that game. Is the aftermath of this.
So yeah, we talked to Fagan about these different things, and he's very honest. He said he was a little disturbed, not by the Canes losing up there, but just by the way he saw them show up and play. So there's some rehabilitation to be done with these recruits, but a long way to go on all of them. And the onus is on the Canes. Turn this thing around on Saturday against App State, look good, win convincingly, and start to change these attitudes. Like, okay, we weren't good enough yet to play with Alabama, but we're going to have a good season, and we're going to go out and seize it. And it starts on Saturday. So that's what you've got today. A lot of good stuff to soak into on the website. Hope you enjoy it all. Go on the message boards, have fun integrating with the other fans, and it's been very, very, very animated, and as you would expect this week, and a lot of guys making a lot of real good points. And it's one of the beautiful things about our site is that that community really feels like almost like a family. They go at each other pretty good sometimes, but it's a true fan community that loves debating the issues with each other. If you're not a member of our site, take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Use the code Miami30. Check out CaneSport.com and become a part of it. Some other notes: all of our shows, as we've mentioned before, are now available on Amazon Music. You can download them, listen to them on the way to work. If you have Alexa devices at home, just tell Alexa, play CaneSport Live podcast or play Good Morning CaneSport podcast, and Alexa will play it for you. Kind of cool. We thought we'd get it on there for everybody who wants to use their Alexa. I mean, you got Alexa in your house, you got to have reasons to use it, right? All right, so that's going to do it for today. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Furman. Everybody have a great day, and we'll come back at you tomorrow, everybody.